Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome into the Graham Lincoln McLean podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Graham Lincoln McLean, the official pharmacy of my voice, Eric McLean, because we are working our way back.
That's right. Come on, KG. You look and sound fantastic. I'm glad to hear that things are on the up and up over there in your household. And yeah, I'm right there with you. Ingles, the official, whatever we need, right? You need some Starbucks, need a little coffee because you're a little tired. Swing by and let's go. Whatever you need to get going there. What's the little magic? And there's some magical drink there, like that just cures all your problems.
Mac, I got one the other day.
A med ball?
Medicine ball. Medicine ball, yes. Medicine ball.
You know, it's just
Kelsey
a weekend
Riggs
warrior.
Got me onto those.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's where it comes from. Because she is never sitting still. She needs some medicine ball in her life, and never not working. Like anytime I turn on any show, Kelsey's hosting this today. There you go. She's a legend, hardest worker in the business. But yeah, so shout out to Ingles because also yesterday we had Amelia Rose official party. Now listen, we had her birthday. Very small, intimate on her actual birthday. Was awesome, amazing with the parents and the grandparents. But we had a big old 30-piece McNugget, gathering there. And actually, it would have been a 33-piece McNugget, which is my basketball number. But somebody's a sicko and didn't come.
If the plague had not hit my home, we would have tried our best.
Oh, I appreciate you not getting us all sick and not coming. But we got everything we needed, of course, at Ingles. We did this really fun. You're going to be super jealous here, KG. I'm sorry. Because I haven't put any pictures out, so you don't know what I'm about to tell you. We did 3 different amazing chilies, and they were so
that's
good.
Such a good idea.
They were so good. They were so good. We did 2 on the Traeger. One was kind of just your classic, you got your ground beef, your tomatoes, all your beans, all that stuff. And then the other one that we did on the Traeger was straight up Texas style from my guy, Meat Church. So you had
brisket?
this no, we didn't do brisket because I didn't have enough time. I didn't have 24 hours and then do I was on the road. But we did this steak, beans. I think there was some jalapenos or something in there, pepper, something. It was amazing. It was so good. So, of course, our friends over at Ingles hooked us up for that. So there will be Instagram videos and pictures to come. All of you guys have to check that out, and maybe I'll drop a little recipe because it was good.
That sounds so good.
Anything I'd ever done. Have you had anything like this in your Texas roots?
I feel like I probably have, but not in a long time. And that sounds it feels like it would feel really good on my throat right now.
I bet. It was super good. It was super good. So before we jump into these games, which there was some big ones, some heartbreak, some headache, and some really good football. So we'll talk about all that right here in a second. But first, a message from our friends over at Ingles.
It's time to discover the convenience and time savings of contact-free pickup with Ingles Curbside. Just visit shop.ingles-markets.com or download the app. And your Ingles personal shopper gets to work with specialized training on how to select the freshest items for a pre-scheduled pickup. They'll even text you with updates. You pull up to a designated space and your personal shopper delivers your items right to your vehicle. Fresh, fast, and affordable. It's all in the bag. Ingles. Low prices. Love the savings.
Mac, let's dive into the 6 games from the weekend in the ACC. By the way, 5 teams now ranked in the league. Louisville jumps into the AP poll at 25. They stay undefeated. We'll talk about Louisville. Florida State 5, North Carolina 14, Miami 17. 3 of those teams they did not play. And Duke drops to 19. But we're going to start with, I think we'll just say the team that performed the best, Mac, and that's Clemson. Yeah. Clemson looked really, really good up at Syracuse. They defeat Syracuse 31-14. Dabo improves to 9-1 versus Syracuse. We talk about how this game always brings up kind of spooky vibes, but Syracuse doesn't really win all that often. And I thought Clemson set the tone early with that hit on Schrader, the fumble. It felt like the confidence shifted because Clemson forced that first turnover, right? And Clemson's had such turnover issues. That was pivotal. And forcing 3 turnovers was huge for this team. And Cade Klubnik, we thought Florida State was probably his best game. He did have the terrible mistake. This game, for sure, his best game, I would say, so far.
Yeah, he was dicing it up. And some of the throws that he was making, I'm thinking of a scramble where he's going to the left, finds Tyler Brown, who, by the way, has been a freaking revelation. I mean, this cat is so good.
Big time.
And if you guys remember, way back in the day, I did tell you a lot of things about Clemson. Only some of those have come to fruition. But he popped off the screen so quick, just with his speed, his versatility. Yeah. And so it's kind of fun to see that really come true, and just a guy be uber confident. I mean, it was, fascinating after that Florida Atlantic game to hear him talking with Taylor, because he had the 2 touchdowns in that game, and just, the excitement, number one, that he has to be out there and to be doing these things. But you just saw this like kid-like confidence from a guy that, again, I keep saying this, but he just doesn't know. He doesn't know that he's not supposed to be doing these type of things. And man, it's been so impressive to see. So love that from what we're seeing from him. But again, Cade just being surgical. There was another 3rd down that I think he hit Bo Collins that was a really tight-knit window throw. Just smart decisions. And again, he is so young and is growing, and even myself, super critical of some of the mistakes and the things, just because maybe you thought it'd be a little farther along, which isn't fair. I mean, it's a position. I've heard EJ say this, 2 or 3 times, just talking about various quarterbacks across the country that are young and in these positions. We have gotten to this point where we're not allowing people time to develop. Like we're thinking you got to be good right now. Yeah, and that's just the world that we're living. Yeah, it's just the world that we live in right now. And with social media and access and all these things and the pressure that is truly on, these young men and women that are performing, at super high levels of competition. So, for him, he is on a great path. And I think if he just continues to what he's doing, running the ball very effectively, choosing his spots, to be effective and maybe not quite in the Syracuse game, but throughout the season. So very impressed with what I've seen from him, KG.
That 3rd and 7, Clemson's first touchdown, the pass to Stellato, that was a play where I thought, okay, that's a 5-star.
Right.
Like that's the kind of guy Clemson thought they were getting, the talent, the ability to scramble, the arm talent, and the creativity. I mean, look, no shot against DJ Uiagalelei having a ton of success at Oregon State. I said from the beginning, I didn't think his skill set fit this offense. You have to be able to scramble a bit.
Right.
You've got to be able to make things happen. And DJ could go forward, but he couldn't really go outside of the tackles. And that's what Klubnik was able to do. He created some plays with his legs, kept the ball alive, kept the play alive, hit Tyler Brown on a few of those as well, Mac. So just you can see him continuing to grow. And it says something, too. You probably could not pick a worse start to the season for Klubnik, right?
Right.
National TV, only game on, and just a bunch of mistakes.
Yeah.
And he did not pack it in. He did not become a mental head case. He pushed through that, played well against Florida State, and is now playing like this. So you got to give him a lot of credit for that too, I think.
No, I don't think there's any question about it. And again, I think that kind of, goes to show the way he was raised, goes to show the support system that he has, and kind of the tapping into his faith and knowing. And he's so outwardly expressive about that. And I think what's very cool, and even these last couple of weeks, when probably everyone's sitting there from a national media perspective or from an outside perspective saying the season's over, like there's nothing to play for. And he sits there and says, what an opportunity that we get to play this week. Like we get to play and have joy playing this football game. And, I think that in a sense, KG too, that's very freeing, just to go out and play a game and go out there and do what you've done, pretty much your entire life. But I do want to touch on that creativity piece. I think that is the most attractive thing about his game, outside of the accuracy, which Coach Sweeney has talked about time and time again, but he has that ability to escape the pocket, keep plays going, and delivering downfield. So he's that athletic. We've seen that in these last couple of games. But as you said, that this was his, performance where you saw those moments where you're just like, whoa, okay, can you build on that? Can you keep going there?
And on the road as well. And Mac, was it you who was talking to me about if we had a 12-team playoff this year? What kind of how differently we'd be talking about Clemson, because they'd very much still be in the mix. Now, look, crazy things can happen. I very much doubt that if Clemson wins the ACC, perhaps with 2 losses, maybe we'll see. Sure. But if you have a 12-team playoff, you're still very much alive. Right. And of course, if you just make that field goal against Florida State, we're having a completely different discussion. Let's talk about the defense. I thought this defense was a lot more disruptive. Clemson had not been able, you mentioned that too, against Florida State, had not been able to really put the quarterback on the ground and get sacks consistently this season. 5 sacks in this game, 7 tackles for loss. I thought, Maskell had the big hit, ex-teammates in plays, TJ Parker, Jeremiah Trotter had the interception. And we'll talk about what went wrong for Syracuse. But I think part of it was you got a mad Clemson, and Clemson also won the turnover battle. And when those two things happened, it felt like Syracuse couldn't do much about it.
Yeah. It felt weird. It felt like we were in a different universe.
Shocking, I know.
Clemson creating some turnovers there and not giving it back to them. They did one, and I thought that was going to be a touchdown. I was like, oh, my God, Here we go. This is unbelievable luck. But, yeah, those guys played lights out. And I thought what was, very fun to see was a guy like TJ Parker continuing to grow up very quickly, before our eyes here and be a heck of a player. I mean, he is a disruptor. He is a physical guy, fast, has a lot of tools in his toolbox for such a young age. And, it's funny. We kind of did some power rankings of, our top positions, and we just had D-line, which is tough. You got to throw a lot of people in that with defensive tackles and defensive ends, edge players, all these different things. And I put him at 5 on Friday. It's just the things that I'd seen. And production, stats is what it is, but he's a game changer. And then, of course, he goes out and has back-to-back sacks and is just all over the place, making different plays. So, he kind of helped me out right there with that. Thought the overall play from the defensive line was amazing. We hadn't seen statistical game from them like that all year, and so that was great to see. Thought the linebacker play was great. Barrett Carter was fully exemplifying his speed, sideline to sideline, making some really nice tackles for loss and had a sack himself. Jeremiah Trotter, interestingly enough, I thought they were kind of picking on him a bit, trying to find him in pass coverage whenever it was man-to-man. LaQuint Allen and Coach Beck obviously dialed up a really nice kind of a wheel/rail route out of the backfield for a touchdown that, it was mismatch city. Just from an alignment standpoint, when I saw him going to the right, I knew there was no way that Jeremiah could have made that play. And that happened a couple of times. But he got the last laugh and had that amazing interception, was in zone coverage. He almost had 2 of them. Had a one earlier in the game that went right through his hands, but of course was a ball knocked down. And I thought that kind of was, kind of his get back and kind of him proving, hey, like I'm good. And of course was second in the team with 7 tackles there. So this defense is playing at a very high level. I think getting Nate Wiggins back whenever that will be is vital, just because they need that guy. But these guys are playing at a very high level right now. And it's fun to see kind of, it actually stinks to see it, but it's great to see the response. It took a Duke game, I think, for them to kind of get to their potential, but they responded. And this Clemson team in general, KG, I don't think it was guaranteed that we knew this was how they would respond. There was a little bit of question marks for that with me, with just seeing how they were going to play.
And there's still a whole season left to see, right? This is just one game.
Of course.
Mac, okay, quick big picture question, then we're going to go to Duke, Notre Dame. Take off the Clemson glasses for a second. Do you like, in this current situation where every single game matters so much, that Clemson's already lost 2 and they're done?
Yeah.
Technically.
Do I
or
like
would you
it?
prefer what we're going to have next year, where you can kind of afford to lose these games and see what happens? There's no guarantee that a 2-loss team, Clemson team, makes a 12-team playoff either.
Yeah.
But that's what we love about college football is, you're seeing, I'm at the Clemson-Florida State game. You are seeing Clemson fans dying with each play because you know how much is at stake with that game.
Right. I think it is a little different too, the fact that they lost 2 conference games.
True.
That puts you in a brutal hole, to even be and represent, in your conference. And in years past, where there were divisions, this was essentially the nail in the coffin. Whoever won Florida State Clemson was going, that they were going to the chip there and probably winning it. And so at the end of the day, I don't love it, but it's what's so unique about college football. If you lose twice, you're done. You are out. And essentially, a team like Duke, a team like Notre Dame, as we saw in that matchup, as we're about to talk about, that was a playoff football game. If Notre Dame loses that game, they're done. The season is over, and they just play these, however many games are left, 9, 8 games where it doesn't really matter. You can go to a decent bowl, I guess, but, there's just a lot. There's so much at stake with this. And Coach Sweeney has said this time and time again, but college football is literally an 100 and however many team playoff because every single week is vital. You can't just lose games. You can't do it.
And that's what I kind of like about the 4-team playoff. Because every game matters so much. But, I am excited to see more postseason football, so that'll be good.
That's right.
Let's talk about Duke, Mac. Number 11 Notre Dame survives. They beat Duke 21-14, number 17 Duke. This game, I said it before, and we talked about how Duke was 10-2, I believe, when scoring 22 or more points since Mike Elko came. I didn't feel like this could be a slugfest and Duke was going to win. I felt like Notre Dame was going to be physical enough and make as many plays if it was a slugfest. Right. And that is what happened. Sam Hartman, Houdini magic on 4th and 16, just making that happen. And of course, I think the 2 turnovers for Duke, the one at the end, the fumble, of course, but the pick early in the game where you give up possessions in such a low-scoring game, that hurts you. Yep. But it just felt like this had to be a little more of a shootout for Duke to win.
Right. And man, you have to give so much credit to both these defenses. They played so physical. Again, Audric Estime just always has these one popping yards that just feel like it changes the whole game. And again, I know you can't take away yards, but it's a fact. You take away that 30-yard run, that dude has 50 yards. Yeah. They have 120 total, and you're just like, dang.
That was the run.
Crazy.
It happened.
It was. And that's what I'm saying. But it's funny how an entire body of work can be totally obliterated by just one play. And how great he was playing, how great Jordan Waters was playing. I mean, that dude was carrying defenders, trying to get first downs, trying to get in the end zone. So we saw some really gritty plays by a lot of people involved in this game. It was an all-out war, and it felt like college football, playoff type caliber of game. And you mentioned Sam Hartman there. A couple of ways that I look at it. Number one, I strongly disliked the decision to go prevent defense. I thought that was silly. Yeah. I thought it was bad. I thought it was a bad decision, quite frankly. Because I just feel like prevent is that white flag. You're like, oh, man, hopefully you don't get it. Yeah. Where if you dial it up, if you bring pressure, it was 4th and 16. That is a long freaking way. And if you bring up pressure, quarterback has to throw hot. He has to get out. Even if the guy catches it and he has a hot read, is he getting 16 yards?
Right.
Maybe, maybe not. If he misses the tackle, he might score. And EJ brought that up, and Coach brought that up. I understand, but he scored anyway.
They scored anyway.
You get more time. You get more time. So I like
more time, right?
I like the risk reward better of dialing it up, and they had done that for 2 straight plays. So when I saw, because we're all sitting there, we're watching, jacked up, and we're like, here we go, bring in pressure. And I see a 3-man front, everybody else back. I'm just like,
and Coach Rick was like, no. They're not doing that.
This is not good. This is not good. Because a couple of reasons. Number one, it just allows for a lot of time for the quarterback. Yeah. And number two, it allows a lot of time for a great quarterback, a very experienced quarterback who's not just going to be baited into, oh, there's 8 guys back there. What am I going to do? He'll drag it out as long as he needs to. And then he went after he did that, and yet still nobody was open. He looked up and said, oh, there's nobody for 20 yards. Let me just go and get this, for our guys. So I hated that decision. And it is nuts to me, KG, how Clemson, FSU, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Duke, Notre Dame, these massive, meaningful games have came down to weird, bad coaching decisions. It's crazy to me. It really is. With deciding to throw it, not run it, not enough guys on the field, and then choosing a prevent defense where, you're giving up a ton of yards. So it's baffling to me. It really is weird. And it just goes to show you how high stakes the game is. It goes to show you that pressure doesn't escape anybody. Everybody is a piece of that. And it was bonkers. But what a fun game. An amazing effort. I wish Graham Barton didn't play, which I thought was brutal.
And that came out before.
Let me say this.
I saw it on Twitter, and I DM'd it to Mac, and Mac had a choice word. Mac was not excited about that.
Well, that was so that you broke the news to me. I mean, we're on TV, and here's how crazy this is, KG. I just did a tape seconds before you send this to me about how this offensive line is going to do work, how Graham's going to do work. I look at it, and I look at Kelsey. I said, as soon as we come out of this break, we have to talk about this and walk everything I just said back.
Yeah. Well,
and it's crazy. It's crazy.
But you were showing also the importance of Barton. And
yes.
Not having him.
Yes, exactly.
Obviously
and those guys still did good. I mean, they did exceptional. First half, not so much. Second half really rallied. And then I guess, we sadly do have to address Riley going down and how much that sucks. And, just it's a violent game, and he's doing everything he can, and, just gets rolled up. And I think it's official, right? It's a high ankle sprain.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So hopefully, knock on wood, I think that's, it's a pretty bad injury, but it's not life ending. It's not season ending. To where hopefully he'll be able to get. He will make it. Hopefully he will get back sooner than later. But it's just a brutal blow for Duke with such an emotional high, and for it to end with a loss, a fumble, like game over, and then your guy's on the ground grabbing his leg. You're just like, oh man, honestly, it makes you sick, physically ill to see.
Yeah. Mac, I will say, I think Duke showed themselves well. Yes. I thought that game day and the crowd and all that was great.
Right.
And so, of course, you want to get the win. There's no moral victories. But a lot of season left. They have a bye week.
Right.
Then they have NC State. Feels like, we're going to talk about NC State. Kind of feels like you could beat NC State without Riley Leonard. But then you have Florida State, October 21st. Yeah. Is it too much to ask if he's back in 3 weeks? We will see.
That's right.
That's the big question mark with Duke.
It'll be interesting.
Speaking of NC State, this game is real. This game's really about Louisville. Okay, we're gonna give Louisville credit. Louisville beats NC State 13-10 on a Friday night in Raleigh. They move into the rankings 5-0, 3-0 in the league. Incredible start for Jeff Brom. That being said, this game was hideous, but Louisville doesn't care. Louisville said we're gonna win. A win's a win. I don't care. NC State's up 10-0. They blow this lead. Brennan Armstrong making some interesting decisions. The 2 picks were very, very costly.
Yeah.
Mac, what do we... Louisville, I think we can say, look, they're better than this offensively. They went on the road. They survived. NC State had a good game plan. Peyton Wilson played out of his mind.
Yeah.
And Louisville's going to move on to the next, and they've shown they can score more than this. NC State on the other side. I think this game says more about NC State than it does Louisville.
Right. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. And, I think this game kind of was similar to what we thought, what we thought it would be, because we know that environment is absolutely crazy. We know the juice, the excitement, the potential, again, of this NC State defense. And they showed out. I mean, they played really well, had a bunch of sacks, had a bunch of tackles for loss, got their hands on the football, made Jack Plummer really do some dumb stuff too. I mean, both quarterbacks, they're not dumb people, but they made dumb mistakes, right?
Plummer,
like it was just bonkers.
Plummer was still, with the picks, both are 2 picks, Plummer was still a lot more efficient. He still made more plays.
Sure. No question about that. I mean, almost triple, Brennan's yardage, and did get a touchdown. I think that's pieces around him. But I think also kind of coming to the light is, Brennan is also making some bad decisions. So it's just a not great situation right now.
That last pick was crazy. What was he thinking, Mac?
Well, number one, don't throw it.
That's
but obviously,
don't throw it.
Getting hit, the ball it was like a punt. I mean, the ball went straight into the air.
Arm punt.
It was just
so
not
what
good.
Do you, Mac,
it was not good.
If you're NC State, you have MJ Morris. I know that Dave Dorn has said that they want to redshirt him.
Yeah.
What's the plan here? Can you just ride it out with Brennan Armstrong, 13 of 25 for 112 and 2 picks?
Well, let me ask you this. Why would you put MJ in this situation and waste a year?
Yeah. If it's truly that kind
of
rebuilding year,
Like, I'm probably the fans want that. Like, they want to win. But if you're looking at the future and if you're, like, in lockstep, and again, no info, we have no clue.
Yeah, we're purely speculating.
But if you're in lockstep with MJ and saying, hey, brother, this is your team for 3 years after this.
Right.
I don't want to waste it on this situation.
But let me flip it back. Doesn't Peyton Wilson deserve the best quarterback out there possible?
Hey, Peyton's just going to get drafted, all right? That's what he's worried about, okay?
I don't know. I mean, he's putting his body on line every single day.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. It's a tough situation. But I also know how difficult that position is. And do you want to just burn a guy, by putting him in there and having nobody help and not feeling like, it's his team.
Sure.
And he has to awkwardly step around and win the team, whatever it is. I don't know, but maybe we see him play this week. I have no idea, or next week.
We're not promised tomorrow. He could get hurt in practice.
That's right. Of course. So we have no clue. All I do know is that NC State has a lot to figure out. Again, with the injuries, all these different circumstances, they've got to get it going. And a Louisville team, as you said, very impressive still. Found a way to win. Got out of Carter Finley, 5-0, and now ranked 25th in the country. It's fun to see. It's fun to see a number by your name, and a great matchup for them this weekend.
I was going to say, and here we go. October 7th, we're going to break this game down, 7:30 ABC. Louisville's hosting Notre Dame. Notre Dame 6.5-point favorite so far, Sunday night.
Yeah.
Massive opportunity for Louisville. This is where you can really make your mark. And it feels like, look, Notre Dame, And they haven't looked invincible.
Right.
They haven't looked like they can really score on a good defense. So stay tuned for more coming on that football game.
All I want to say about this is just remember the last time Sam Hartman was in Louisville.
Oh, shoot. Eric Macklin was there.
I was there too. It wasn't good.
That's a great, great point.
Little different circumstances. Little different circumstances.
Don't make me laugh.
Kelly's in so much pain thinking that game.
I really feel good. It's just my voice is still coming along. Okay, speed round. Let's roll through these, Mac. You were in Blacksburg. This game did not go how we thought. By the way, our picks were terrible this week. Let's be real.
They were bad.
I did gain a game on you, though.
God, of course. Who
with
was it?
Notre Dame. Notre Dame with a 2-point conversion.
Unbelievable.
It's horrible. Virginia Tech beats Pitt 38-21. Mac, I look, this good for Virginia Tech. You were there again. Those fans. Kyron Drones did some really good things. That's a great sign. Virginia Tech ran the ball.
Yeah.
Pitt is just an absolute disaster. I don't know how else to say it, but good win for the Hokies.
Was a good win for the Hokies, and I think the most fascinating thing to ever happen. This should have never happened. There's no way that it should have, with a team who's given up 220 rushing yards a game, holds a team that can very competently run the ball for 38 yards.
Or so we thought.
So we thought. That is crazy town. And the effort, the crowd is always so good, KG.
They're the best.
Let me just tell you this. That place is like, every time I go there, growing on me immensely to where I might make a very poor decision in the offseason in some rankings. I'll let you guys read through it and figure that out as to what I'm talking about. But Enter Sandman, those fans, it is berserk, and I love it every single time. Sellout, whiteout was nuts, and they were jacked up all game. They didn't leave because they're whipping the heck. Out of Pittsburgh there, Kyron Jones from Jump Street throwing a bomb for a touchdown, and that place went nuts. It was so much fun to be a part of. They ran the ball really well, 200 yards rushing, right at 200 yards rushing. Daquan Felton was sick. He's just a big dude that can make some plays. Then you had some other guys step up. And here's also the deal. Virginia Tech made some really silly, dumb errors that this game could have been way worse. Mm-hmm. So if you think about that, is this a massive momentum shift for them? Is this a massive swing? Or is Pittsburgh this bad? And it's sad, and you're not happy about it. Who knows, man? Go ACC football. We'll figure it out one day.
I'm baffled by Pitt.
I'm too.
Absolutely baffled. That the fact that they can't even run it with an O-line that people were excited about coming back.
Yeah.
And with Phil, Rodney Hammond and Sebo and these running backs.
Right. Daniel Carter, great guy, had one carry. I mean, he was the starting running back at the beginning of the year. Got a ton of carries. But Phil threw that one bomb, which was awesome and great to see, and then went 2 of 12. And you're just like, what is happening? He did rally, threw for another touchdown, 230 yards, but just not enough. And, the Hokies got it done. And big opportunity as they head down to Tallahassee.
Don't laugh. Don't laugh, Eric Backlane.
Here's your reward. You got to play Florida State.
Okay, 2 more games here. And sad in some ways, but happy for Boston College if you look at it that way.
Yeah.
Boston College beats Virginia 27-24. This game was a push, by the way. The spread was 3. You took BC, I took Virginia. Vegas knows everything. BC kind of shot themselves in the foot with a bunch of turnovers. Yeah. Virginia goes back to Tony Muskett, which was interesting. I thought he played pretty well. You go back with kind of the safer option. Right. But in the end, Virginia their second half was an absolute dud. So credit to Boston College.
Right. And I think those 4 turnovers, like you said, for BC, brutal, and just continuing to try to give the game away with penalties, turnovers, whatever it is, for BC. And then you're down 21-7. You're just looking around like, okay, what are we going to do? What do we want to do? And they rally, and you have to give them credit for that. Again, 200 yards rushing. It's a great stat. When you rush for 200 yards, you're feeling good.
You're probably going to win.
Right. You're doing your job. You're controlling things that you need to. Castellanos, again, just such a wild card, but such an entertainer. You just don't know what's going to happen with this guy.
It is fun to watch.
It is fun to watch. And the anticipation that he had on a fade route where he's throwing it at the guy still in his break or in his move. And I was like, wow. I mean, if we're starting to get this, this young man's going to be
There's
a problem. There's some absolute talent. And then you just feel so bad for Virginia. They have been just right here.
They've been in every game except for Tennessee, Maryland.
For the first half. Yeah, right.
But,
Maryland, they got ugly fast. But still, they were up. You're
We're up,
texting me. I'm at a wedding, and I'm like, daggum. And I look at them like, oh, daggum. This ain't good. And so they're close with some pieces. And I know nobody wants to hear that, and they just want to be mad, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're
they
just
are
right there.
If you've actually watched, they are close.
Yeah, and maybe that's more frustrating. I don't know.
And we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what they do with the quarterback position. I'm not sure if they go back.
Right.
But we'll see. They play William and Mary this week. This is your one win. When you think about could UVA go 0-12, they're going to beat William and Mary. They are. Okay. William and Mary just lost to Elon.
Right.
But I'm not sure I see another win. Maybe Georgia Tech. And that's a perfect transition, Mac, to Georgia Tech. What the hell, Georgia Tech? Like, I'm mad. We were so excited for you on Friday.
Right.
We were talking about Georgia Tech's going bowling.
Right.
They're going to cover. They're going to handle their business. And I know y'all were talking about them on TV all day.
Brutal.
They go up 14-0, and then they just decide to, forget how to play football.
Yeah, give it away. And what's even
crazier. This is
crazier,
terrible.
Yeah, let me just throw this out here. Which quarterback threw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns? The winning team or the losing team? Which one? It's crazy. It is bonkers to sit here and look at that and say, how the heck did they lose? But it was just an ugly, horrible game. And the effort was weird at times. I mean, it was – honestly, it looked like a team that wasn't ready to go.
No,
it looked like a team that's thinking about
this
Miami.
From Bowling Green. Yeah, 100%.
You get embarrassed. I mean, they were 22.5-point favorites, and you get beat by 11. That
crazy.
Is a 33-point swing. That's insane. Absolutely bonkers. We should do some research to see the biggest
Bowling Green
swings.
had the ball for 43 minutes.
Well,
that's what happens when you can run the ball.
It's like the triple option. They lost to Liberty, Michigan, Ohio. They beat a directional Illinois school, and Georgia Tech.
You're exactly right, though. Georgia Tech was looking ahead to Miami. They were reading their clippings. They were listening to the pod, Obvi, and they were thinking, oh, yeah, we're going bowling.
Oh,
you can't do that, Georgia Tech. Now, what are you going to do? You're not going to make a bowl after that, I don't think.
Right. No, there's no chance. I mean,
we wanted this for you. We wanted this for you, Georgia Tech.
We did. And it would be a miracle. And then you're making a coordinator change on a Sunday. They're demoting coordinator, promoting guy, from linebackers to DC. How awkward is that? Nah, bro, get out of my meeting. This is my meeting room now. I mean, that's just, it's bizarre. It's a crappy situation. I love Coach Key. I love these players, man. And it's just brutal when stuff like this happens. But hey, guess what? Go beat Miami and nobody cares anymore. Everybody forgets.
Yes.
We'll see.
That would be every week.
That would be hitting the big red button if that happens. That wouldn't be good for anybody.
Yeah,
It's not good for my health to continue to think about this. So you know what?
Obviously not for me. It's killing me over here.
We're done. This is it. We're done with this episode. Thank you guys for joining. It was a fun weekend. I don't know why I got so negative and ended it here. But that's it from us. We appreciate you guys. Have a great episode on Wednesday and, of course, Friday. Preview a pretty big weekend. There's some fun stuff happening. So all week long, we'll be right here for you, breaking it all down. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Go over to YouTube. We need your help. Subscribe, jump into the party, leave some comments. We have some fun over there. And then, of course, the OGs over on Apple Podcasts as well. Rate, review, subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that. But until next time, we'll see y'all.